The Partial Breakaway Podcast with your hosts Nick and Junior and producer Vince, bringing you elite fantasy hockey information to help you win your fantasy leagues and win at life.
Episode 55.
Wow, we're running the Flintstones.
On my left, we have the Flintstone himself, Mr. Co-host Junior. On the right-hand side, old man, producer Vince. And I am Betty, otherwise known as Nick.
Wow.
Welcome to...
Whoa, Black Betty. Whoa, Black Betty.
He has to sing once per episode. He
This
has to sing, guys.
This is going to be a long episode.
So, welcome to Partial Breakaway Podcast, episode 55. Thank you very much for coming, joining, liking, and subscribing as well. And we have a jam-packed episode again. It's like
Another one.
Every time you think that we have absolutely nothing to talk about, just things end up happening.
Or
Right.
we just like putting things for us to talk because we like to talk a lot.
Well, I mean, I know you guys do, but
Minute la. Minute.
well, one person that spoke a little bit too much and ended up getting spoken to by the entire Winnipeg crowd.
Wasn't that beautiful?
What, like
Wow.
the whole crowd
Wow.
in Winnipeg during a game between Pittsburgh and the Jets
Do we have it? Can I catch it,
was
you think?
the producer was supposed to get that ready. Was just chanting,
Yeah.
"Where is Rutger?"
Rutger, the quote unquote spoiled brat.
According to producer Vince.
That was awesome. Honestly, I love that kind of stuff. And look, he's still a kid. He's going to learn. He's going to make his way back to the NHL. But
Let me see if I
we
got
said it last week. You want to talk the talk, you better walk the walk. And this is what you get.
That's amazing.
That's beautiful.
And then on top of it, at one point they started chanting, "Jagger's better." It felt like a WWE crowd.
Honestly, it's a good crowd in Winnipeg. Winnipeg
Yeah.
has got a good crowd.
Yeah, and it's a city that knows its hockey. Like they just bleed Jets.
Small market, but
Too bad it's a small market and it's hard to get sponsors. But other than that, the city itself loves its team.
Agreed.
All right.
What's on the program, Nick? Tell us what's on the
Well,
Yeah,
program.
what's happening? What's
Today-
happening on episode 55?
Today we're changing up just a little bit. We're doing some little tweaks. One thing, we're going to keep the Odd Man Rush segment because the Odd Man Rush segment is already something that we were keeping because it's good. It's our basically news and rapid fire segment. We're introducing rumblings for the week, which is something that Junior, maybe you want to explain?
Yeah, so because we're doing it on a Saturday and most games weren't finished by the time we started doing the prod sheet, I figured it's kind of pointless to do a 3 stars of the week. So I decided to just take news and notes, not necessarily fantasy related, but these are all news that is creating a buzz and in a negative way. So I want to see where it goes. It's rumblings.
Okay. We also have our waiver wire pickups and which teams are playing the most and which teams are playing the least for you weekly locked leagues.
And then for that, we are going to combine a suggestion from a listener once we get to there
That's
right.
what we're
From
going
our
to
Discord chat, right?
Yeah,
That's
from
right.
what we're going to do in the
Anybody that wants to join us on Discord, let us know. We'll send you our link and we could all go in there and just discuss anything hockey related. Then we have a topic of conversation, which is it time to panic on some of these players that Junior doesn't like?
It's always time to panic.
Well, that's very, very well said, sir. Very well said. All right, let's start with our producer putting on the
Odd Man Rush, as long as nobody touches my thing.
Odd Man Rush.
Gotta be on call. All right. Pretty sure that's what your wife says all the time. No?
Yeah. Pun intended.
But yeah.
I'm gonna drown you in the ocean.
Alex Lafrenière signs a 7-year, $7.45 million contract. Junior, how do you feel about that?
I like it. I think long term it'll be. I think it's fair. He had a rough start to his NHL career. I think it's normal going into a really good team as a young superstar. But 57 points last year in 82 games. He's found his niche with Panarin and Trocheck. And
That second line looks good.
it's probably
So first line.
First line. I was gonna say that's got to be the first line. So no, very. I look forward to seeing him develop. I think he could be a 70-point player when he hits his peak. 70 to a point per game.
Are we using the horn now?
No,
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought we were using the horn.
All right, Vince. You actually wanted to talk about Connor McNair.
Excuse me. Yes.
You sure?
Yeah. My God.
So I was going to say Connor McMichael, but it seems that Vince almost choked himself there.
Yeah.
ahead.
Listen, he was a guy, young kid, 23. He started out very late. I think some people actually gave up on him in fantasy, kind of dropped him when they could because he wasn't producing. And it seems like this year he's found his comfort zone. And
That whole team is looking pretty good.
I think it's a better balanced team than it was last year. And I think Connor McMichael's line with Wilson and Dubois is actually one of their best line right now.
So I think Carberry,
the coach
is the coach. He was a Toronto assistant and highly touted, and he got hired by Winnipeg. And you're kind of seeing his system work for these guys, these young guys as well coming in, and the team looks like a competitor, at least a playoff team. Not.
Listen, at the beginning of the season, we were with Washington. We were like a bubble team, and if they would make the playoffs, it'd be like last year where they'd get smoked out of the playoffs. I feel this year their team is a bit. I don't know. They're just playing. Maybe it's a better system, more comfortable. Some kids, like I said, Colin McMichael is he's tearing it up out there at the beginning of the season. So good for him.
All right, next topic of conversation on this rapid fire. Shea Theodore signs a 7 times $7.425 to stay in Vegas. Last 82 games played. His last 82 games played has 10 goals, 61 assists for 71 points. If it wasn't for this guy's injuries, he'd be a top defenseman.
which is why fantasy GM should be ecstatic with the salary cap. I think with the salary amount of this contract because of the injuries, it went down to 7. Probably it's a tax-free state as well.
Yeah,
but like we've seen injury-prone defensemen like Werenski get $9 million. We've seen non-talented offensive defensemen like Darnell Nurse get $9 million. So like the opportunity was there to get $9 million, and for him to sign at under 8, under 7.5, I think that's money in the bank for fantasy GMs. Absolutely love that.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. And a long time ago, I spent a first-round pick, a long time ago, in order to obtain this guy.
Way back when you were the little boy.
A little boy. And I got some people doubting, like listener Jamie, about me actually paying a first-round pick for this guy. And as long as he's in my lineup, he is always top in points for my defenseman. So I love this guy. I think good for him that he gets to stay in Vegas for a long time, and he's really made a home for himself there. Next, I have Vince, I
Yes.
want to ask you a question about Beniers. So,
Which I own in several.
do you own him in several leagues? Okay, well,
Yeah.
good. I'm going to ask you about it because of the fact that
Tell me.
I traded in one of my keep 12 leagues. Okay, so it's only 12 people I get to keep. But I traded Quinn Hughes for Beniers and 2 first-round picks. Okay?
Sorry, say that again.
It was Beniers. It's a keep 12. Beniers and 2 first-rounders
For Quinn Hughes.
for Quinn Hughes.
I'm hoping you have luck with those 2 first rounders.
Well, Beniers started off slow. I started panicking. And then I see that out of nowhere, 2 goals, 3-point night, plus 2, 83.66 goals, expected goals for percentage at 5-on-5 on Thursday night, this week that just passed. Do you think Beniers is somebody that could still get us that 70-point mark, 75-point mark? Because that's what I was hoping for. It's only his 3rd year in the league.
Listen, now he was 0 points in 6 games, and now he's 4 points in 8 games. So I don't think Beniers is the problem in this situation. I do believe it's the team that's the problem, and also a new coach, a new system. It's Baslam, right? That's there the
Balsman.
Basma. So he's bringing a new system, which he said he wanted to get them out of that whole defensive structure and give their good players a bit more freedom out there. So I think, listen, 75 points, I think you're pushing your luck, especially this year. Can he become that? I think he needs better line mates. I don't think the line mates he's playing with is a bonus to his talent. So
He was actually playing pretty well to start the year, just wasn't showing up on the score sheet. Because his line mates, which is McCann and Eberle, have been on fire to start the year.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been doing well. It just didn't show up on the score sheet until this week.
Okay. Well, somebody that is showing up quite often on the score sheet, in fact, point per game, or if not more right now because he played tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So Michkov comes in as advertised in Philadelphia. 7 games, played 7 points at the time that I wrote this, but tonight he had 2 assists.
A goal and an assist.
Oh, sorry, a goal and assist. So 8 games played, 9 points.
On pace for 92.
He's also hitting. He's also back checking. He's also blocking shots. Like, we're talking about a torts guy here. And,
I wouldn't say hitting. He's got 2 hits in 8 games.
Oh, okay, sorry. Then that's a mistake. But back checking, blocking shots. How
Yeah.
many block shots does he have? He's doing
4.
Okay, he's doing some stuff here.
5 face-offs won. Pitching in as a winger.
So, is Michkov better than advertised? Is he as advertised? What are we thinking about?
Look, Vince always talks about that threshold for a rookie where they hit that wall. I want to see at the 30-game mark, 40-game mark, halfway through the season where he's at. But there's no doubt to me this guy is a quality NHLer. He should be an elite player in this league. And if it's not for Mishkov, I'm not sure the Flyers are in any of the games they were close. They won. So, I mean,
That line looked really good tonight.
yeah, and prior to tonight's game, he was a -9. But nobody talks about that because he had the points to put up, right? So just to show you, the plus minus doesn't matter. He was a +4 today. He's only a -5.
No.
listen, Michkov, the biggest difference with Michkov and the other rookies that come out of university is Michkov's used to playing more than 30 games a season in the KHL and MHL. So he's going to do well. And so far, Torts is giving him a leash. So we're good.
Hey, how about that trade we did to acquire Mishkov in the DPR league?
Are we going to be mentioning this trade like every single episode?
Hey, every
Very
time
proud.
it comes up, why not?
It was Zuccarello and
Gensel.
Gensel.
for Michkov, Norris.
No, and we traded also Morozov, the goalie from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Was that? I thought it was a separate deal.
No, listen.
Anyhow, we acquired Mishkov, Josh Norris, amongst other things.
Right. Right. All right. If you're going to bring it up, at least have it in front of you.
Yeah,
no?
I should have. I thought you would have remembered.
Yeah. You look who you're talking to. I can't remember what I ate this morning. Winnipeg. The Winnipeg Jets. Where is Rutger? The Winnipeg Jets just can't lose. They were 7-0-0, and they played tonight, and they won against Calgary. They're now 8-0-0. This team just can't lose, and it's kind of funny because you looked at them and you kind of said to yourself, well, we thought that we were...
They were one of the teams that
Not
we thought
making the playoffs or a bubble.
or that we thought was going to have
Regress a bit, right?
a regression, especially what some ex-players were saying on Twitter about their coach, their new coach and stuff like that. And man, look at them. There's 8-0-0, and it's not dependent on Hellebuck.
Well, he has like a 940 save percentage.
Yeah, but they're still
doing great.
they're still scoring goals. So it's nice to see, because I when Winnipeg is in it, it's fun for everyone.
Everybody's performing. Perfetti is performing. Like he started like the first 2 games with no points, and now all of a sudden he's just putting up multi-point games all the time. Who was the other guy I saw? Ehlers, Pionk, like crazy.
Velarde is the only one that's like average.
Slow start.
Yeah, I think he had a goal last game.
Yeah, he's like 4 points in 8 games.
4 points in 8 games. Yeah, not a slow start for him, but still.
But your headline should read: Winnipeg just can't lose in the regular season.
Ooh, that's not nice.
Guys, let's talk about Brandon Hagel. Do we need to talk about him? Because I remember correctly, the junior, when I traded away Brandon Hagel, I picked up Dursey and a second-round pick to listener Tony in LPHL. And you said that Tony lost that deal.
I did.
At the time. It's because you didn't have a lot of faith in Hagel.
I didn't think he'd be on pace for 103 points. That's for sure. I don't think any of us thought that.
So you're just eating crow, or?
Yeah, I'll eat crow for now. I expected him to be 70 points, 65 points to be fair, 65 points. But when I traded him to you, it was because I couldn't keep him in a cap league, and for Cutter Gauthier, and that's not looking too good right now. But
well, that was for the future.
no,
right?
look, and he finally went back on power play 1, which is huge for Hagel GM owners. So, look, 10 points, 8 games, 50% of the power play share. It's looking good. It's looking absolutely good.
All right. Well, the last subject that I wanted to talk about in this Odd Man Rush segment is Annunen now the starting goalie in Colorado. He has started, ladies and gentlemen, the last 3 games. And he has won, if I'm not mistaken, 2 out of the 3.
Yeah.
So
He played 5 games in all. He's 3-3.
he's playing more games than Georgiev right now. Do we think that we're seeing the passing of the torch from Georgiev over to Annunen?
No, I think we're seeing the Georgiev drop the torch in hay that he's standing in, and just Annunen walking by and going past him. I mean, we knew Annunen was going to be the next goalie up, but I mean, Georgiev did not help his case this year. I mean, when you're thinking of sending that goalie to the minors for what they're doing, what he's doing, and someone on Twitter said it, you go, look at that. Colorado could get, if all Colorado needed is a goalie that could save some shots, and all of a sudden they're on a win streak and everything's back to normal. So, Annunen is for sure their new number 1 goalie. I don't think they're going to go to Georgiev unless Annunen really, really struggles. But I think Georgiev is just going to see a lot of bench.
917 save percentage, 2.08 goals against average, and he's looking good. He's looking good. So
he's making the saves that he needs to make, which is what Georgiev wasn't doing. So
that's right. So I kind of predicted before all my drafts this year that Annunen would take over as a starting goalie, even though I know we said that Georgiev was a contract year and we thought maybe there's a chance.
There was a chance, yeah.
So I went out and I grabbed Annunen like late in all my drafts. And it looks like he's going to be my starter in my day-to-day league. And I traded him away for a first-round pick in the Keep 12. Because it just... Somebody offered me a first-round pick. I can't say no.
No, exactly.
It's a great start for him, and let's see how it continues. So let's see how it plays out the rest of the year. But I really like that pick. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for Odd Man Rush.
Odd Man Rush.
Yes. All right, let's jump right into the rumblings. The rough waters this week. So many headlines to talk about. So we'll start on something we touched on last week, which was Team Canada's goalie situation heading into the Four Nations. Yeah, definitely. Oh no. So I want your take on this. We touched on it last week. The Team Canada goalie options for the Four Nations seem to be Jordan Binnington, Aiden Hill, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, Tristan Jarry, or Stuart Skinner, potentially Montembeault. By the way, Dubas was watching the game at the Bell Center today. He's also
Dubas?
he's
part of the.
he's part of Team Canada's development team or something.
Okay,
So
cool.
I
Good to
I
know.
wonder if it had anything to do with Four Nations. I think it was more about the Four Nations tournament than about Pittsburgh Penguins. But anyways, okay. So what do we think here? Who has the edge? And is there a name not on this list that you guys think should actually be in consideration?
So I just want to throw out some stats here. Binnington has played 285 games, has 147 wins, goals against average 279, save percentage 908, 15 shutouts. Aiden Hill has only played 140 games, 66 wins, 2.72 goals against average, so better than Binnington, 908 save percentage, same as Binnington. Stuart Skinner, and this is the part that's going to be funny. Stuart Skinner has 128 games, 73 wins, so more wins than Aiden Hill. Goals against average 2.73, save percentage 908. So 908 save percentage so far.
I wonder who's going to bring that down.
The best out of all those guys is actually Tristan Jarry, who has 2.72 goals against average, which is pretty much the same as the other three guys, 911 save percentage. Guys, Team Canada sucks in nets.
I agree.
I have a solution.
Here we go.
Oh boy.
I think it's a good solution.
Just fold?
Play with 6 forwards.
Take a train, cross the border, go to Boston, go see Jeremy Swayman, and say, listen, buddy, you got Hellebuck, you got Ottinger, here's a Canadian passport. Just sign it.
So you want him to become a Canadian, basically?
Like, the Americans are just stacked at that position. Just
Even
go
the Russians.
I mean,
Even the
Hellebuck
Russians.
Just go
doesn't
steal
he
one.
reside in Winnipeg? Can't he just
No, because I think that you're locked. If you're
play a game?
if you've played a game for the international team, you cannot change your international team after
Okay,
that.
so let's go look if Swayman played a game for his international team. And if he didn't, let's just offer him a Canadian passport. Canadian passport, some, what is it? Sirop d'érable?
Sirop d'érable. Oh boy,
What else? What else? is
maple
Canadian?
syrup. Yeah. So okay, look.
Some,
all
old,
jokes
some
aside,
good old Canadian bacon.
all jokes aside, there are other players that may be younger that don't have as much experience that might be knocking on the door. We already mentioned Montembeault might be one of them, right? Do we have any other ones that might be knocking on the door?
Oh my God! I thought he was Canadian.
No.
I thought Dustin Wolf was Canadian.
No, he's not.
He's American.
He's American.
Wow.
Listen, if Canada does it, which I still
And
believe,
Askarov is Russian. Just in case
Yeah.
you were-
I still believe Canada will win the Four Nations. But if they do, it's basically
Despite
the
of-
Colorado situation. That's what Canada needs. They just need a goalie that can make a save, because offensively, they're gonna kill it.
Is Darcy Kemper Canadian?
Team
Colorado-
USA offensively is elite.
Okay, you guys. Oh, I understand. Team USA. I understand.
Yeah.
But you got McKinnon, you got McDavid, you got Crosby. There's no one on Team USA that competes against these three. In the back,
Bedard.
Bedard. Yeah, but Bedard is young.
Matthews.
So Matthews is closer to who? Is he better than McKinnon and McDavid?
He's around the same.
No. No, stop it.
Well, McDavid, no. McDavid, I think he's in his own.
McDavid is in his own stratosphere, but
I disagree.
As
in
close
terms-
as McKinnon, yes.
In terms of all around play, I don't know. But yeah. Regardless, Matthews and McKinnon would be the ones you put face to face, right?
Kill McCarr in the back, like the
Yeah, Team
whoever
Canada's
says
stacked for
whoever
sure.
says much more elite. Like we'll call it the golden age of American hockey, but no one can sit here and say, oh, the Americans have a better forward group or defensive group than Canada. They don't. In nets, they beat us by a line. I think we might be the worst team in nets in the four nations. But up front and defensively, you cannot tell me that the U.S. is better than Canada. That's my opinion. I'm Canadian, proud Canadian, but
This is a conversation about the goalies, so we're gonna stick to that. What else who else could possibly challenge?
no, there's no young Canadians. Guys, all the Canadian goalies came from which province?
They used to come from
They
Quebec.
used to come from
They
Quebec.
used to come from Quebec. Why don't they come from Quebec anymore?
Because the QMJHL is unfortunately a very bad league.
Not only QMHL, it starts from the young. It starts from
Even younger.
younger, Nick. The hockey.
The grassroots here are terrible.
Someone needs to come into this province and clean it out. There is too much junk running hockey Quebec, and this is the problem. That's the only news you will get. Next,
All right, let's move on because we're getting a little bit off track there. So Tristan Jarry, it is for Team Canada. Okay, next, a lot of talk in Habs land this week about a third pairing defenseman. You would think this guy's the next coming of Bobby Orr for the way people talk about him, but I am talking about Arbor Jacki, the man they call Wi-Fi. He was back in the lineup today, looked pretty good. What do we think of this situation? Is Martin St. Louis too hard on him? Is it unfair that he reacts this way with him and not with some of his vets? Personally, I think you need to earn.
I like how you give your own take first.
Yeah, well, because then I want your opinion on my take and then have your own take. Personally, I think you have to earn your long leash. And Arbor Jacki hasn't been in the league enough to earn a longer leash when it comes to little mistakes, ton comportement, like how he behaves at practice and his attitude and stuff. I think veterans earn a longer leash with their experience, and he's not there yet. But what do we make of this Jacki situation in Montreal that has the fans going bananas a little bit?
oh, you want me to go first?
Vince, you go first. You go first. Is this just a result of the Trouba hit?
Honestly, I listen. I appreciate Habs fans being so passionate about their team and so passionate about players and attaching themselves to individual players, but this is ridiculous. We're talking about
We talk about practice,
we're talking about 6 defensemen who, to me, he's there. Why? Because he's an enforcer. Guys, it's that the league has changed. Enforcers don't exist in the NHL anymore. You need to be able to play hockey. And in my opinion, Jacki on any other team is in the AHL. He's in the Habs there because he's in the Habs lineup right now because they're young defensemen and they don't want to hurry anybody up. And like, we don't have to read Lane Hudson. Lane Hudson is doing what he's doing because of the talent he has. But like, if Reinbacher was healthy, I don't see Jacki being in the lineup every day. I think if he wants to stay in the NHL, whether it's with the Habs or anybody else, and I've told you guys this personally, he needs to hire his hockey IQ because he goes for the big hits or he does stupidities that puts his teams in trouble. And usually when he's in the box, Montreal loses or Montreal gets scored on.
So I'll agree that he needs to be in the box less. And I think that's part of the reason of that is a reputation that he's already gathered with the refs. And the other part is that he does play on the line. He plays aggressive and sometimes he will cross that line. But no, he's not just an enforcer. In my opinion, he could play. And there's a reason why teams out there actually are calling the Habs on this player. It's not to have an enforcer on their team. It's because they see that this kid, he is still a kid. Let's not kid ourselves. Could play hockey. He does have a good first pass. He is good in his own end, and he clears the front of the net very well. There is a requirement for that in the NHL. One big thing as well is that I think this is the reason maybe why Habs fans are talking a lot about this is because it's an extension of a big problem that the Habs have right now. And that big problem is that they're easy to play against. They're not a tough team. They play soft, and they try to get by with stick checking and barely hitting, barely clearing I'm sorry, but if you look at the front of the net, there's always somebody parked in front of our net. Always. Because Lane Hudson can't clear anybody in front of the net. Struble is pretty good at that. He does okay.
I think Struble and Jack-Eye are the same person.
No, I think Struble doesn't have as much offensive talent as Jack-Eye could have. And again, I'm not saying that Jack-Eye is more than a bottom pairing guy. And I'm not saying that Jack-Eye should see the press box sometimes. What I'm saying is that there's a value in having him in the lineup, and it's not just his fighting. The team is too soft, and Jack-Eye provides some of that robustness that we need in order to win games. As long as he stays out of the box, which I agree with you on that.
It's the timing of his decisions that are a problem.
Yeah, but it's coming back to the same thing. As long as he stays out of the box.
But defensively, the structure of this team is the biggest problem. It's not who's playing. It's how they're playing as a collective group. And to make this about one guy is absolute bullshit. It's a fanatic thing. It's not you're not paying attention to what's really bothering this team. If you look at this team play, they run with chickens without their heads in their own end.
Right.
Jack-Eye doesn't help that. Yeah, you know what? You wanted someone to fight Trouba, but I respect the hell out of Matheson, who's not a fighter, to do that. I can pick up my game seeing Matheson do that. I don't need Jack-Eye, who I know is a fighter, to go get Trouba. But again, that doesn't fuel me.
Fine, no, I get that, but I'm not talking about the fighting. Again, you're bringing it back to the fighting because he's very good at that. But we're talking about the fact that clearing in front of the net, he's there. Hudson's not going to do it.
We're the second youngest team. St. Louis has patience with young guys.
We're the youngest defense.
Okay. St. Louis has patience. So if this guy is in the stands, it's because there's something more that we don't know. At the end of the day, I really do believe that his hockey IQ, and I'm no hockey player, so I don't know how you make that higher, but his hockey IQ needs to get better. And this whole, I think in Montreal, everything gets overblown out of proportion all the time when fans are attached to such a player. So I think it's a big story for no reason.
Well,
it won't be the first time it won't be the last time he's going to be in the stands this year. That's for sure.
To Nick's point, we've been beaten down for so many years by so many teams that when we finally have a rough guy that can actually play the game to a certain extent, we fall in love with these players because we haven't had it and seen it in a decade.
Well, okay, so
and then we go get like Larac, who can't skate. We go get Pyros, who that's all he does. Like we were starved for this, and now we have it, and he's in and out of the lineup, and it's bothering people.
So let's put it this way. Did you see the hit from Raku Gudas
Today?
Okay.
Yes, fantastic hit.
Do you see the C on his chest?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was a little surprised when he got it, but based off what I heard afterwards, he earned it.
On New York Rangers, who's their captain? Is
Jacob
it Panarin?
Trouba.
Oh, okay.
The guy who they don't want to resign, by the way.
Yeah,
who they want out.
It's
so.
okay. Now that he's 33 years old, it's
Yeah.
fine. But he was there, though. He was there for the longest time.
Yeah, but he also doesn't get penalized like Jack-Eye does.
Granted, the fact of the matter is the same, though. There's a reason why these guys are there. There's a reason you need these guys in your lineup. It's not because they fight, but it's because they could play the physical game when you need it. Because there's some teams that will, like the Berube style. How was he successful in beating up teams in the playoffs when that one year that he actually beat up teams in the playoffs? He played a hard physical style. You need somebody that could counter that, and it's not going to be your young finesse guys.
No,
So
but you need a
some
bit of
run-
both.
You need some.
But you shouldn't be
muscle.
comparing Jacky to Hudson. You keep saying Hudson's not going to do that. Well, it's not up to Hudson to do that.
Right, but you don't have anybody else. That's the problem.
You shouldn't be comparing Jacky to Kudus or Chuba either. He's not at their level.
He will.
No.
I think he will become one of those two. Whether it's Gudis or whether it's
you
Truba,
can contradict that by Florida Panthers. Who did they have on their defense last year when they won the cup that hit like Gudis or Truba? Nowhere. But collectively, as a defense, they played well. They had Ekblad, who was big, Forsling, who was doing offensive Montour.
Yeah,
so you don't
they had forwards like Bennett and Cousins that were like
grinders,
busting
but it
chops
doesn't have
there.
to come from the back. The problem with Jacky right now is he gets too many brain farts, and
But it's not even defensive brain farts because it's
no,
just
no,
penalties.
but it's brain farts, and it costs the team. It seems every time he does a brain fart, the other team scores on us. So I just listen. I'm not saying the kid doesn't.
I think there's a lot of talent there. There's a
doesn't
reason
need to
why other
be
teams
in
want
the
him.
NHL. But at the end of the day, he needs to get smarter.
They're not calling about Struble.
All right, let's move on because we're pressing on time here.
Go.
So moving on from one brain fart to another, the Leafs lost 6-2 to the Columbus Blue Jackets this week. But what stood out the most was the fact that Berube ripped the hell out of Marner and Matthews on the bench during that game. Struggling out of the gate with Berube. Absolutely struggling out of the
you
gate.
had a stroke there.
No, we spoke about it before the season started, and we said if they come out of the gate flat, the talk is going to be about Berube, about the core, and about Matthews and his C. Is this just another fork in the road, another branch in their skates, and they'll get by it, or is this something really to start being worried about as a Leafs fan?
So I'll just start on this one because I listened to SDPN and Steve Dangle because I actually find he's very entertaining and that whole group is very entertaining. And I listened to them today while cutting the grass. And he basically...
Mowing the lawn for our American listeners.
Yes, mowing the lawn. He basically said that, guys, you have Berube as a coach, you had Keefe as a coach, you had Maurice as a coach, I believe, during this whole...
Babcock.
It's been Babcock. Well, yes.
Yeah, they had Babcock.
Yeah, that's right. During the core four era, you had all of these different coaches, but still kind of the same problems are coming up. So is it really the coach the issue, or is it the players that you have the issue, right? And you keep bringing them back year after year. I think that it's going to be fine in Leafland. I think that Toronto still has all kinds of talent. And if one or two of their stars isn't producing, well, you have two more stars maybe there. And now they have some secondary scoring as well with Pacioretty. And I'm not worried about this team. I'm just saying, though, that the same kind of issues keep popping up with the core four. And it seems to be recurring.
It's an 82-game season. It's a long season. It's one game. And I'm pretty sure that they got ripped because it was against Columbus, which is obviously going to be at the bottom of the list this year. So,
But it was a back-to-back, that game.
Yeah,
What really stunned was that they played St. Louis. After that horrible game in Columbus, they had a break, and then they played St. Louis, which was Berube's ex-team, and they came out flat.
What the Leafs fans are yelling right now at the station or whatever device they're listening to is that they got there hours before the game started in Columbus because the scheduling and all this.
It's a
crap.
back-to-back. You could
To me,
forgive
it's a load of crap. Your best players could still be your best players. I mean, you're playing against Columbus, who, given the circumstances, shouldn't even be competitive this year.
okay, but Columbus brought Nashville to OT today. So
Anybody could win any
anybody
given
can
Sunday,
win.
right?
It could be fresh air that they're getting yelled at and put in their place. Berube is a hard-nosed coach. We all know that. He likes to play his system. He wants players to buy into his system. This is just listen, it was a tough game for the Leafs, and Berube gave it to them.
I think it's very refreshing that we're seeing it a little bit more now that the coaches are ripping their players. I think we were getting to a point where there was no accountability for players, and I kind of like this shift by the coaches. Which leads me to my next question and final question of the rumblings. Marchand also got blasted by his coach, Montgomery, earlier at the beginning of the week or at the end of 2 weeks ago for giving up the puck that led to a goal, which ended up being disallowed. And during that exchange, he kind of gave him like a tap on the shoulder, like a nudge on the shoulder that kind of went viral on social media saying, is that right? Is this necessary? And so on. And then Marchand came out at his first media availability and said, it's my responsibility. I take full accountability. And he's like, players have become too soft that there's no more accountability for the players. So I'm actually glad that my coach did that.
Well, I mean, he gets it, right? He's a leader, and he knows throwing his coach under the bus is not going to help the team.
He's the captain. He's a vet.
Yeah. And he's right, though.
Yeah, of
right?
course. Look, like we're just talking about, I don't want to keep on bringing up, but look at McGordy. We bring him up because...
No, you keep bringing him up.
Yeah, because to me, this is the new generation of players. They come up and you have to coddle to them and you have to buy them puppies to make them happy. And, it makes no sense. You're getting paid to play hockey. Like, we make a mistake at our jobs, we're getting ripped, no matter what. So,
especially you.
Yeah, jeez. Yeah, working with your wife. Yeah, working with my wife, definitely. But, I mean, this is what it is. And I'm glad Marsha said it out loud because I feel there's a lot of people that don't say it out loud. And that hit on the shoulder was probably his coach saying, come on, I know you're better than that.
Okay, so two things I'll mention about that. The hit on the shoulder was barely a tap on the shoulder.
Exactly.
I think it's being overblown way too much. It's not like there was people that kicked players on the bench in the past, and not too distant past.
We're not talking about junior kids, they're all adults here.
Exactly.
Right, but it's a little tap on the shoulder, But anyways, he still shouldn't touch anybody. I get it. Don't at me.
This world of today.
But yeah, I think it's a lot about nothing. And I think he's feeling the heat, Montgomery. I think Montgomery is feeling the heat. Like, people were starting to talk about, well, how long is it going to be before they hire Hitchcock?
Well, the problem is we gave Swayman all that money because you had to say probably that we need Swayman to win. So listen, it is what it is. We will see.
I was going to say, why Hitchcock?
Not
He's
Hitchcock.
like retired.
See, I do.
Babcock?
No, I do one brain fart like that per episode, at least, minimum.
That's why you're a Jackai fanboy.
Fanboy.
Okay, look, that does it for our rumblings. Let us know what you thought about that segment. But
Can I say who the coach should have been?
Do you remember?
Yeah, the coach from Chicago that got fired. That's
Quenneville?
Yeah,
Quenneville.
That's it.
Okay.
How long will it be before Quenneville gets that job?
Okay, now we'll officially move on to our waiver wire pickups. But let us know what you thought about that. Excuse me, that segment, and maybe we'll do a little bit more of it throughout the year.
All right, waiver wire pickups. That's your segment, my friend.
We need better music. Okay, so waiver wire pickup, like Julia said, we made a bit of modification. One of our listeners actually gave us a cool idea. So basically, what it is
who's the listener?
I was gonna get there, but I'll say it now. Hard Day's Night. Basically, he was saying that
Shout out.
Every team that has the most games, we put them in a pack like we did when we did our draft. And we each pick a team. And from that team, we need to mention a player that we think could be a good waiver pickup. The player obviously has to be 50% less rostered. That's what the waiver pickup is all about.
I'm down. Let's go.
And so I'm just going to mention the teams that play the most next week. So we have 11 teams this week, which is a lot compared to last week.
Yeah.
I think last week we only had 3 or 4. So there's Boston, Calgary, Chicago, Columbus, Islanders, San Jose, Seattle, Tampa Bay, Toronto, Capitals, Jets. So we don't know which team we're picking out of these 11.
I'll tell you why there's 11. Because the NHL did NHL Frenzy. So the day before the Frenzy was one game, and the day after the Frenzy was one game.
Yeah.
So
that's it. So waiver pickups, that's who you're looking for. You're looking to pick up players from these 11 teams. Who you're trying to avoid, basically, are Dallas, Detroit, New Jersey, because they only have 2 games. So if you're in a weekly head-to-head where you can drop and pick up players, I would avoid those 3 players. Who wants to go first for their team?
So we're basically drawing on...
You show your card or you say your card for the listeners, and then you need to get on that team.
Somebody from that team. So we're drawing based on randomness,
yes,
but only the teams that are playing 4 games this week
the most
are
games
in this
exactly.
pile. Okay.
Exactly.
So Go ahead, Junior.
Or yellow. Feeling yellow today. The Toronto Leafs. The Toronto Maple Leafs. Interesting. All right, so let's take a look here. What's happening with the Toronto Maple Leafs? What's their schedule like this week? Do we know? Do we have that somewhere?
Yes, I have it. 8 seconds.
Alrighty. Why don't I see the roster here? Roster 38%. Okay, got it.
I wonder if this segment will work in the future. Especially if...
Okay, so the Toronto Maple Leafs obviously play 4 games this week. Most of their guys are rostered. So like guys like Marner, Nylander, Matthews, Tavares, Matthew Nyes. These
Slim
guys
pickings.
are all over 60% rostered. Morgan Riley as well. I was looking at Ekman Larson, but he's also over 50% rostered. So it's really slim pickings here. Nick Robertson is off to an absolute horrid start. 1 goal in 9 games. So that's a little scary. He's rostered 28%, so he would be an option. But I think the player I like the most is, I think it's going to be Max Domi.
Yeah, Max Domi actually looks very decent.
He looks decent. He's not on the top line anymore. They took him off that top line. They put Nyes there with Matthews and Marner. So that worries me a little bit, but to get going, they're going to need secondary scoring, and I think it's just a matter of time they're going to get it. So based off the selections I have here, the choices I have, Max Domi is my pick. He's at 6 assists in 9 games so far, plus 3, 17 penalty minutes. Doesn't shoot much. I wish he would shoot a little bit more. Chips in with some hits and blocks. So he's got some nice peripherals, but Max Domi it is. Your waiver wire pickup of the week from the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Waiver wire pickup number 2 with the randomness.
Of course.
I always pick San Jose. And if you guys don't remember which episode it was that I picked San Jose, it was my first overall pick because of randomness.
Episode 52.
Episode 52. On this team, there are quite a few people under 50% owned, but the one guy that I would say is interesting is actually drum roll please. So this is gonna be there's people that I wanted that are like 51% rostered.
Yeah, well, can't do it.
So I can't do it unfortunately.
Okay, what are the names you're looking at, even if they're at 51?
Okay, so I was looking at goalies. Now, if somebody could actually tell me
solid.
Blackwood. So Blackwood is the starting goalie on this team. Can you guys tell me who they're playing exactly this week?
Yeah, it says right here. San Jose will be playing Utah, Kings, Chicago, and Canucks.
See, I think you could.
That's some.
I think you could pick up Blackwood here.
3 home games, 1 away game.
I think Blackwood is my pick here.
And what's his percentage rostered?
Blackwood's percentage rostered is at 17%
Wow.
on Fantrax.
Wow.
So this might be an opportunity to grab him, and maybe in your like daily lineup leagues, you grab him for a couple of these games and then you drop him afterwards. It depends on what you see coming, but Blackwood right now I think is my pick here.
So I'm gonna go find and to reiterate what we were saying. Hard Day's Night, which is a listener, suggested not this for waiver wire, suggest this for our fantasy hockey pool. So the fantasy hockey pool that we did where we had to pick a team, like Nick was saying, episode 52, he was saying that if ever we're dropping a player, which we're allowed to drop, I think 1 player per week, that when we drop that player, we have to go back into the team pile, randomize it, and whatever team we pick from that, that's the player we have to pick as a waiver pickup. So we're still working on the details for that because like I'm in the lead by 30 points. So do I really want to change a winning strategy?
Oh, I will change every week until I get a team I want. But I think so. We took that idea and basically used it for our waiver wire pickups as well. But we might actually do this starting next week.
In 2 weeks. We'll
Because
see.
I mean, it helps make it more interesting. Like the luck fell on your lap to start, and
It's
kind
not
of
luck. It's talent.
Pure luck.
Talent.
So
All right,
this
go.
way, it could like turn the tables
'Cause-
a little bit to make it a little bit more competitive.
My team, the Winnipeg Jets.
Ooh,
Yeah, I mean, who are you going to roster?
So okay,
the
so I mean,
Winnipeg
this is
Jets?
interesting because
Yeah,
the
'cause-
Jets have quite a few people that are already rostered. We've
but
already
their
mentioned
secondary scoring has picked up, and there's some guys
Yeah.
there that might be under 50%. At top of my head, I'm thinking that line of Nemestikov, Niederreiter, and
Perfetti.
Perfetti.
I'm pretty sure Perfetti's over 50. But the other two guys, I think you're absolutely right. They should be under 50.
Perfetti's at 60%. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I wonder if is he going to go with the defenseman?
There's
Yeah.
not-
Pionk looks good. I don't know what he's at.
No,
81%.
Pionk's at 81.
81%.
Like
yeah,
the-
yeah,
the-
he's been on fire.
Like the players I can go with is Adam Lowry or Nino Niederreiter.
Okay, so Niederreiter
So,
is one of those guys on the
I
team.
would go.
They're not bad choices either.
I would
of
go
them.
more for Nino Niederreiter, and the reason is his position, left, right wing. I find, yeah, but on most of them too. So Adam Lowry, I find as a center, the league is very. Most leagues, fantasy leagues, have your centers, and then they have wingers, not specific left or right wing. And if they do have specific left and right wing, well, Niederreiter can play both wings. So I would go Niederreiter. Listen, he's had a hot streak. He's at 25 fantasy points so far. Like we said, Winnipeg came out of the gate flying at 8-0-0. So, I mean, 8 games, 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points plus 9. I mean, doesn't get better than that. So, my pick is Nino Niederreiter for me.
6 points in his last 4 games.
Gene, you ain't first, you're last.
That's right, boys. Just make sure you know that.
And that was our last waiver wire pickup.
Bum, bum,
Junior,
bum.
you're up next, my friend.
We're doing it again?
Topic of conversation.
Well, what about the teams that only play 2 games?
I already mentioned them.
Okay. All right. Is it time to panic, ladies and gentlemen? That is the question we asked ourselves to end this show. So we've got 6 players on this list, actually 7, but we've paired 2 together. And we're going to ask the simple question: is it time to panic based off the start to their season? So I'll let myself go first. And do I think it's time to panic for Mason McTavish and Trevor Zegras? Absolutely time to panic. Sound that horn. It's absolutely time to panic. Mason McTavish in 7 games played has 0 goals and 3 assists. Trevor Zegras in 7 games played has 1 goal, 1 assist. Every year we tell ourselves it's a breakout year. It's the breakout year. It's the breakout year. And there's just something wrong with these 2 players right now that they can't seem to get it together. Maybe a change of scenery helps them, but right now, until they change that scenery, I can't expect these guys to be the 60 to 70 point players I was expecting them to be. So for me, big time to panic. McTavish and Zegras, if they still have value in your leagues, I would put them on the block.
I'll just say that I'm expecting Zegras to start shooting a bit more. He's not shooting enough. It's only on average 2 shots per game, and he's at a 6.7 shooting percentage. I just feel that you're right. He's not looking too good this year so far.
Okay, he is not. Vince, I'll hand this one to you. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Go.
Tyler Bertuzzi. Is it time to panic?
No, and it's not time to panic, because if anybody had high expectations for Tyler Bertuzzi, well, then you should just take your hand and slap yourself in the face. Because, I mean, this is the Tyler Bertuzzi. Listen, I guarantee you that Tyler Bertuzzi either went very high on draft lists or stuff like that because, he's with Chicago and he's going to play with Connor Bedard. How many times have we heard that with Sidney Crosby when he was every winger that played with Sidney Crosby went in the second round? because everybody thought they were going to be geniuses and pulled this guy out of a hat because he played with Sidney Crosby. So Tyler Bertuzzi, no, you don't panic, because if you expected this player to be a leader in your fantasy, then your team is terrible. And I'm telling you this because I have Tyler Bertuzzi and I'm second to last in my league, the rebuilding league. But I kept him because I'm like, oh, he'll be trade bait because, you know, he's playing with Chicago and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm going to get maybe pucks and sticks for him, and that's about it. So no, it's not time to panic Tyler Bertuzzi, because if you expected more than 50 to 55 points for Tyler, I think you were overrating him completely. So
He's on pace for 18.
18, there you go. So 18 gets you a free coffee at McDonald's, maybe, right? So no, not time to panic Tyler Bertuzzi.
All right, Nick, your turn. This player is a bit more on the elite side of the defenseman. Miro Heiskanen of the Dallas Stars, off to a slow start. Is it time to panic?
So the funny thing is, he's on pace for 27 points on an 82 game schedule. So very low start, but I feel like it's like this every year. He's still getting the 25 minutes time on ice. So that's
but
the
is
same.
it time to panic?
Well, I'm explaining whether it is or not. And no, I don't think it's necessarily time to panic. I think it's time to absolutely freak out.
Sound the horn.
Like, if you're in a cap league and you're paying this guy $8 million, right? $8 million for 3 freaking points in 9 games.
It's
Look.
probably 10 games now, right? That's tonight, or
I'm
Yeah,
not
whatever.
sure. I'm on Frozen Tools, so whatever Frozen Tools decides. But out of those 3 points, 2 of them were on the power play. So, like, I don't know. That's not good. That's an $8 million defenseman you're talking about. I think he's going to rebound a bit. I'm not saying he's not, but I'm not expecting him to have a 76-point pace like he did in 2022.
he's getting the deployment, he's getting the opportunity,
And that's where I was. That's what I was trying to say.
so
Like,
you would assume he would break out of it, but
look, it's still under 10 games, but come on, guys. I mean, at some point you got to panic.
Nick,
I'm
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 not
not.
going to wait till game 81
Nick,
to
when
panic.
it comes to defensemen, I have a very short leash.
Oh,
I don't disagree at all with you there. It's
Okay, I was hoping he wouldn't have had an assist in his last game, but he did, so he doesn't have a goose egg in points anymore. But Zach Hyman of the Edmonton Oilers, Vince, is it time to panic? 1 assist in 8 games.
oh yeah, you called the rider, you called the fireman, you called the policeman, you called the ambulance, you called the criminal minds, you call whoever you need to go find Chris Hyman, because my friends, last year, goals, he would score 1 goal every game and a half. 8 games, absolutely no goals. And don't give me this bullshit about, but Edmonton started slow and it's the hangover. And no. For a player who is getting deployed for 20 minutes, playing with the best player that ever put on skates maybe in this world, getting power play time, and you still have a goose egg after 8 games.
80% of the power play share.
No, it makes
80% of the power play share, 1 assist to an account.
to me, my friends, you panic, and we remember he was one of our regressions, or at least he was one of my regression
well, I don't think
players,
anybody
Hyman.
expected that many points or
But
goals again. But
no, exactly. But
But
I
this is-
mean,
this
no,
is way too low.
it's one assist, 23 shots on goal in 19, almost 20 minutes deployed. Call those guys that look for fingerprints and look where he is, because my God, he's missing in action. It's not even.
you could find his face on a milk carton.
Milk carton. It's too late to milk. You gotta give him a big billboard and see if we can find him. Maybe one of those airplanes, that we see always with promotional. Hey, come to this club. Call this number. Where's Hyman? Call this number, because he's missing, my friend. So
Okay, Oilers fans, if you
Definitely
find
more.
Hyman, you let Vince know where he is.
I mean, there's not much to do in Edmonton anyway. So where possibly can he
Oh
be?
my God! All right, that's it.
Hey, Banff is beautiful.
We
Yes,
just
Banff.
lost like 10 listeners. Thanks, Vince. Okay, let's moving on. I like this segment so far. I'll ask myself the question: Is it time to panic in regards to Steven Stamkos? I really do think it's time to panic again, guys. Look, maybe it's just me, but this stuff worries me, man. New guy on a new team for the first time in his career. It usually doesn't start well. I hope for his sake he can pick it up, but he's really like, it's not even to say he's got like 4 points in 8 games, you know, like 4 assists, 1 goal in 8 games, and the team's been scoring more lately, and he's still not showing up on the score sheet. Look, you showed that meme from Dauber last week, of the Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, the Dumber Dumber skit.
Like, he's playing 19 minutes a game, 73% of the power play. He's shooting almost 3 shots per game, and he just can't score.
So it's funny because at the end he might be like goose eggs up until like game 40, and in the last 40 games he'll just score 40.
Yeah,
you know, like that's the kind of person
but
that he
so
he could be,
I
right?
in thinking about this, and I was like, who was the last guy that went to Nashville and was supposed to be great and wasn't? Duchesne. Prior to that, Johansson. Right, he was great with Columbus. Went to Nashville, didn't pan out. So there's something about going to Nashville. It seems like for these big time players that
Nightlife is too good, my friend.
then the day life too, I guess.
No, but the last 2 players we talk about are on the wrong side of 30.
So
Hyman
Stamkos.
32,
Oh.
Stamkos 35, if I'm not mistaken. So does age
That's
have
why-
something
yeah,
to do
that's
with
why it's
all this?
worrisome.
You know.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Nicholas, the last player we're gonna talk about, which is your favorite. Hey,
It's like taking over your segment.
It's okay.
that's right.
Who wants to walk with Elias?
Nick, are you walking with Elias Pettersson, or are you throwing him off the bridge?
I think I don't want to hear that siren again, so I'm just gonna say no for the sake of it.
It's like that cannon from
Oh
Columbus.
man, it's just annoying me right now. Look, Elias Pettersson had a verbal altercation, I'll say, with JT Miller recently, where they were yelling at each other, and I think there's a little bit of fire that needs to be lit there. But am I really panicking? He's getting a point every 2 games that he's playing. I know we're expecting a lot more. I've always said Elias Pettersson maybe is not a 100 and plus point player necessarily. So I don't think that I don't think I'm panicking. I think he's going to be just fine. I think he's going to rebound. And I will walk with Elias so I don't have to hear that horn anymore.
But I agree. Elias Pettersson, I think.
It's a slow start.
Yeah, it's a slow start. Guaranteed for a player of his talent and for people who have him in the.
And he has hit
Dynasty
102
League.
points, by the way,
Yeah,
before.
but for a
I
team
just
that
don't think
has
that's
him,
who he is.
a team who has him in Dynasty right now is probably like, it's a lot of money for a guy who's giving me only 3 points, right?
Tell me about it.
Yeah, so there you go. But I think he'll pick it back up. Is a new coach in Vancouver now?
No, it's Rick Tocchet, no?
Rick Tocchet.
Yeah, you know,
He was there last year.
Yeah, hard-nosed coach. So
Look, he has 10 shots on goal in 7 games. That's barely a shot per game. That's not Elias Pettersson. Last year he had 207 shots in 82 games. So
And he's only at a 10% shooting percentage.
yeah,
His
which-
career average is 16. That's a significant change.
it's a slow start. Is it worrisome? I think so. Like I've been hearing, and Elliot Friedman has mentioned it a couple of times now, that he's maybe worries too much about what people are saying about him, and it affects his game. I hope not, because Miller ripped into him, and then Garland came out and kind of said like, look, next week after you get a couple of points, nobody's going to be talking about it anymore. So just ride the wave and stay even keel. Don't put yourself down and don't put yourself too high. So I feel like it's a mental thing with him, and anytime it's mental, it is a little bit iffy for me. But guys, that does it for our panic segment. Is it time to panic? Absolutely. It's always time to panic as fantasy GMs.
trade.
For a second there, I
Oh,
thought
wait,
you were gonna
Banya's
play
calling. Banya's calling.
that. For a second there, I thought you were going to play that siren again. I was going to walk out.
Me too, by the way.
We are definitely keeping this segment.
All right, please feel free to give us a 5-star review on YouTube, you cannot do that, but you could give us a like and a subscribe.
Yep.
On Apple Podcasts and Spotify, you could give us a 5-star review. Comment, participate. Guys, just like our listener did this week, they gave us some suggestions. We incorporated it into our podcast because we need you guys to participate. And we're flying tomorrow, so that's why it's coming on a Saturday.
And let us
All
know.
three of us
Let us know
Down
if
south
on a jet plane.
if you think it's time to panic on these players.
This guy's still with this freaking siren. I don't know.
Have a good night, people.
See you next week, and stay tuned to our socials. You'll see our beach bods.